On Monday, June 10, 2013, Dentons hosted a breakfast conference in the presence of Sir David Walker, chairman of Barclays. This was as part of the Conference of Montréal and the International Forum of the Americas. Following an extensive career in finance and banking, Sir David Walker joined Barclays' board as a non-executive director in September 2012 and became chairman of the board in November 2012. He currently sits on a number of important committees, including the board corporate governance and nomination committees, and he also sits on other committees such as the board remuneration committee. Also in attendance as a special guest was Mr. Kenneth Rogoff, a famous economist. The discussion led by Ken Rogoff focused on debt, growth, and the austerity debate in the context of the recent financial crisis. It's useful to remind that Mr. Rogoff was previously a professor in the Department of Economics at Harvard University, the Charles and Mary Robertson Professor of International Affairs at Princeton University, and prior to that worked as an economist at the International Monetary Fund. In focusing the discussion on the European context, Mr. Rogoff argued in favor of debt restructuring as a necessary tool to achieve economic growth. Such policies, he felt, must occur at a more structured level, with debt restructuring becoming a conscious policy choice by political leaders. Following up on this point, Mr. Rogoff went on to discuss the central role he sees for Germany and France within this model. While Germany's commitment to debt restructuring has, from the start, allowed it to weather the financial crisis far better than its continental counterparts, it cannot continue to shoulder the cost of lifting Europe out of its decline on its own. More recently, in France, Prime Minister Hollande, who opposes austerity, has shown a firm commitment to reflect the needed change to help the country achieve growth. This example of political leadership is essential since a commitment by France to debt restructuring would allow it to become a second anchor of growth and stability in Europe. Mr. Rogoff's thoughts were mirrored in the response offered by others who were also present at the breakfast conference. Henri-Paul Rousseau of Power Corporation expanded on the need for centralized and structured economic policies while conceding that it is unfortunate that politics often gets in the way of sound economic policy. Sir David Walker agreed with the need of debt restructuring while adding that for such policies to be effective, there must be also an attempt to limit both structural rigidities and overly broad safety nets that hamper the potential for growth in the long term. Overall, the conference proved to be a meeting of the minds, with all agreeing that less austerity and more flexible policies by central banks would do some good in Europe, helping to reduce unemployment and promote growth. Most of our guests agreed that there's a lot of cleanup to be done. However, under the guidance of sound political leadership and the entrepreneurial elite in Germany and France, Europe has slowly started to recognize the importance of debt reduction, debt restructuring, and has begun to move in the right direction. It will be Denton's pleasure to welcome you at the 20th edition of the Conference of Montréal to be held in June 2014. Thank you.